Awesome. All right. Hey, Jeff, while you're on here. So we're going to talk a little bit about just being in Korea and hey, Ian, by the way, I got your email. I'll respond to it. Thanks for sending it. That's just been really crazy. Haven't had time to think about next week. But thanks for sending it, definitely. We're going to talk a little bit about Korea. I'll show a few photos and as best I can. And then, maybe we'll see what there is to talk about. There's a lot to talk about for sure. Oh my God. Is that it, Jeff?
Yeah, I think so. If anybody has questions, especially if for material from yesterday's class, go ahead and ask it and we'll get to it.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I think the purpose of the trip here, let me see if I can I'm going to share my screen. I'll show a couple things. You can't. This photo's actually it's not. It's a little blurry, so you can't see. But anyway, that's a book that came out in Korea about 4 weeks ago that I've been working on, and I've been working on since last summer actually, and so we did a lot of things like we did some public talks. This was at a bookstore. Lori interviewed me. And the woman on the right is a translator. And so just about the book, different questions that people came. They registered for the event and bought a copy of the book. And, we had a lot of conversation, and I signed copies of the book afterwards. It's different, it's interesting. There were actually here, it's harder to see, but there's a lot of people on the right too. There were about 200 people there. It was nice. Yeah, it was very. So that was one. Here's like the book signing. That's the first time I ever did a book signing. You can see it's really really interesting. Just it was good. It was a good experience. Really nice experience. And I'll do a couple things here. There was another talk that Lori and I did the night before. Here's this. You can kind of get a better shot of it. But hang on, let me get up to the night before. Here we go. This was another one at the Starfield Library, and we did a very similar thing. And I decided that it would be really nice to have Lori do the interview, just because it's kind of nice. And Green-Eyed Lady, I'll explain in a couple of minutes. This is a really kind of famous library in Korea where lots of people go to take photos, it's really. Very interesting. This was a meeting with the vice mayor in Seoul in downtown that we had, and that's actually a view outside the window where we stay. Yeah, hang on. I'll do a couple more. This is the guy on the right is Bum Jun. He's my agent in Korea. And the woman next to Lori is Suman, who helped me write the book by interviewing me. And so this was another interview. Lots of interviews. Every day it was a different interview. So anyway, that's it. Unfortunately, I don't take a lot of photos. Well, we did play golf in the snow. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, the book is really it's written for a Korean audience, and only for a Korean audience. There won't be a copy in the US. in English, and it's just really a kind of an opportunity for me to talk a little bit about um, different things that I see in life, different ways different lessons I guess I've received over the years. I been teaching for 41 years, and increasingly I don't talk very much. I don't speak much about. Hey Jeff, you're still on the screen. I don't know if you want to be on the screen. You can be. It's good if you want to be, but
I was just going to ask because whenever people go and visit a foreign country, of course, or even just a foreign city in the U.S., there's different stereotypical tourist areas that people go to,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of them are kind of dumb. Like I went to San Francisco and I saw like Coit Tower from a distance, and it was like,
Yeah.
that's cool. But what was one that you've been to in Korea that actually was like, oh, this is really cool? Like for me in Haiti, I really enjoy going to the museum that
Yeah.
they have in downtown Port-au-Prince.
Yeah, that underground museum. Hey, David, I'll answer your question more about the book in a second. In Korea, well, going to the palaces it's really interesting because these are the palaces are interesting. It's touristy, but still it's really cool. It's like going into an old cathedral or any old palace actually, just to be in there. So I really appreciate that. Yeah, when you go, I mean, when you're standing in front of that and you're standing around it, you just it just has such a feel. So I appreciate that. And honestly, though, there are a lot of things that are really interesting in Korea, like going to a baseball game. Yeah, I went to a baseball game. It's really fascinating because it's just an entirely different experience. Not on this trip. But the biggest thing for me is just being being there, being in the city of Seoul or being outside of Seoul, wherever, just being there, just feeling the culture, and going to some temples is cool. But it's equally as fascinating just to, anywhere I go, because I'm a sociologist, right? So I often find myself not going to a lot of sites that exist. I mean, I went up into the Lotte Tower, which is like to the very top. It's like 100 stories, or remember that stuff like that. Okay, that's pretty cool. And then there's this spot where you can walk out. It has a glass bottom, and just kind of stand. So I like that. But mostly I just really appreciate being in the culture. And the reason is going back to the book. So it's just I pick out 10 or 9 different themes, like create. Hang on, I'll I'll pull them up here.
Well, you prepare for that. I did want to let everybody know that class 13 of this semester was when you had G talk about the book and help translate it for Korean viewers when you were about to go over.
Yeah.
And I just wanted everybody to know that that was the first time I was finding out about this book. I was like, wait a second, there's a book that you wrote? And so I texted you after. I was like, maybe I did know about this. You're like, no, I don't think I said anything. But yeah.
Yeah, I know. I didn't really tell anybody about it. Lori's never read it because she can't read it. She can't read.
I mean, I don't need to read it, but I do want a copy.
Yeah. All right. All right. I'll have to bring a copy back next time when I go. Okay. So I picked different themes, like altering our path or changing our path. Just biases, dealing with biases, curiosity, confidence, leadership, healthy relationships, knowing oneself, perseverance, and then managing resources. Those are the themes. And I talk about the sweet spot. The sweet spot for me is kind of this space that I've learned to get into. Life is like living inside of the eye of a storm, the eye of a hurricane or a typhoon. you can we want to get to the calm places, but we're always bouncing up against the edges and getting blown around one thing or another. It doesn't matter whether we're in a hurry and we miss a traffic light, or we burn the toast, or whatever it is, the ice maker isn't working exactly right, and we just get thrown off in some tiny little ways. And sometimes they're really big ways. Things don't go the way we anticipate them to go, and we want them to go, and kind of bigger things. And I always had the idea that at this stage in my life, I would, hang on, I'm going to pull my shade down a little bit. At this stage in my life, I would kind of be able to just live very even keeled, that I wouldn't get thrown off in any way by lots of things, and that I would just have a sense of just calm. But what I realized is that, it's just not how it is, man. It's never going to end. I'm always going to get thrown off. And what matters is just the reset, the ability to reset. And at some level, it's like resetting in ways that we don't even recognize, and we don't even necessarily feel it. It just happens so seamlessly and fast. And the sweet spot is getting into that space of consciousness in which that we don't notice the resetting, but we're doing it. And that's really the sweet spot. But it's happening. We're getting thrown around by the storm. And it's a very Confucian in the idea, very Buddhist in the idea, but it just made sense. And the reason for a Korean audience was because a Korean publisher asked me to write the book, and an American publisher never asked me to write the book. And to the best of my knowledge, if an American publisher isn't interested in the book, I'm not going to do it in English, because it doesn't matter. But also there's a lot of Koreans follow Sushma 19. And so there's a lot of folks who are interested in these kinds of messages, and Koreans really read a lot of books. In America, not everybody reads books, but there's just an audience of people who are really, really interested. So anyway, that's why the Korean audience. So so it's good. Felt really nice. It's warm. It's been received very well. And it's just, it's very nice. Good experience. And it's fun to be there. Just really unique. It's just a really, really unique place. And so I've developed a lot of friendships and a lot of connections, and that's that's also really nice. So kind of, I don't know what else to say. I don't know. God, I really don't know what else really to say. I went to a colorist, by the way, and discovered that my colors are. Hang on 1 second. I'll pull it out. People are really into. There are a lot of things Koreans are really into, but one is definitely colors, and so really just matched my color up with. And I happen to really have a spring color palette, which is interesting because this shirt I'm wearing right now. But these are the colors that are really best for me, and best spring colors to coordinate. And so Koreans are really into colors, and so this woman follows the Sushma 19, the live stream, and she reached out to me and she says, I watch you, and I watch the clothing that you wear, and I look at your colors, and this is what I do for a living. And she said, I don't know, let's do a session next time you come to Korea, and we'll try to figure out what your color is, your color season, so to speak, what's really best for you. And so Lori and I went We made a video actually because Jeff Suman came along and recorded the the experience. So I'll have a video out of it. But uh, yeah, that was very cool. So discovering that I am, in fact, these bright colors that I tend to be attracted to are really good for me. And yeah, so that's pretty awesome. And yeah, there we go, man. That's my uh, how much experience. So, Axel, so how much Korean are interested in your outside view? Say that, Axel. Say that in a different way. Uh, I'm not sure what you mean. And how do Koreans are really, they are very if you see Americans in a very positive way. I mean, Korea recognizes the very positive role that the United States has played in Korea in the Korean War. I mean, had it not been for the United States, Korea would be a very, very different country. And certainly South Korea wouldn't exist in the way that South Korea exists. So they recognize that, and the U.S. has had a long military presence in Korea ever since then, and so have a real fondness for the United States in that way, and really feel it. It's not just a thing that people talk about or they know, but they don't actually feel it. They feel it, man. They recognize the importance of the U.S. and Americans and feel very connected to this country. Right now, there's a certain upheaval with Trump because Trump is throwing tariffs on Korea. Trump is threatening, is going to demand that Koreans pay more of the cost of U.S. Troops being in Korea. They pay, but the U.S. is going to demand more, and of course the United States is there not just to protect Korea from North Korea, but the U.S. is there because we want military bases on the border of China. That serves our interests. So you can't just do that wherever you want to do it. We have something like 450 or 500 military bases around the world, more than any other country in the world, having bases, on other lands. But it's also in our interest to do that. So, so they see it fondly. Like it's really, it's quite interesting. And of course, the United States is a big, huge consumer of Korean culture, of Hallyu. Hallyu is it's a Japanese term actually, but it's the Korean wave and just a wave of culture, K culture, right? K-pop isn't pop music, K cuisine, K food, K movies, K film, K K dramas, television, K cosmetics, K beauty, K technology. Everything is K something, we're the world is consuming Korean culture, man, unlike anything really in so many ways can imagine. And so the United States is it's the really top consumer of, well, not the top, but one of the top consumers of Korean culture. And so that's pretty big, and people recognize that, and so it's cool. Yeah. So Ian's saying you've noticed more East Asian people view America favorably. Yeah, and allowing the stereotypical humor, although that's really kind of going away. Like people are pushing back against a lot of that, but of course, here we push back against a lot of stereotypical humor about East Asians, and you just can't. People can't make the kinds of jokes they do because the East Asian community here in the United States has become a little more politicized and political, I guess, and just gets a greater kind of sense of power and is entering more into the mainstream. And And so, people are just consuming much more. Man, just K. That's so many. It's so fascinating for me to run into all of the people who really are fascinated by things by life in Korea. Um, and the difference. So, David, yeah, the Korean culture from the West. No, it has not become westernized. That's is the thing. You would think that, looking at it from the outside, you would imagine that. But man, when you go inside of Korean culture, it is in its essence, there's a Koreanness that is very, very, very strong. And you don't you we fast foods and kind of lots of Western food. You don't see that in the way that you do in lots of other places. Once in a while, there's a few KFCs and McDonald's and that kind of thing, but not very many, man. Not very many. It's quite fascinating. Koreans love Korean food, and Koreans love being Korean, and they really participate in Korean culture. And in ways, I suppose, in a certain sense, more than any place I've ever been. That Yeah, it's really very, very interesting. So yeah, it's just not westernized. And then there's just this way of being. There's kind of I'm going to do a thing in class where I kind of talk a little bit about just different gestures, even on the part of Koreans. That's so fascinating. So wow, just really different. There's just like there's a whole psyche, like a comportment is the word to use, a comportment of how people are. So that's pretty cool. Um, yeah, and kimchi. I Last year I was the global ambassador for kimchi. You say it's with a K, kimchi, but but it's pronounced between a K and a G, sort of kimchi. Anyway, I was the global ambassador. One of them, anyway. I think there were three of us uh, for kimchi, just to kind of promote kimchi around the world, which is in some ways like maybe the most signature dish of Korea. I mean, there are a lot of dishes that are signature dishes of Korea, but kimchi kind of stands out. Fermented foods. There's about 400 or 500 different types of kimchi. So,
Yeah,
uh,
the thing that was interesting hearing this, um, and realizing how Korean culture has influenced things. It was kind of slow and unannounced for a while in terms of like, American television was being introduced to Asian television through Pokemon and other Japanese animation cartoons and such. And then eventually there were a couple Korean television shows that started to go into that space. And then
mm,
eventually they started to do music, and then there was more dramas, and a little bit more has come out in the past couple of years to diversify. Like Parasite a couple years ago won like the best picture or best film of the year, and it was entirely in Korean.
yeah,
And that wasn't something that an American audience would necessarily uh, be expected to win an award like that.
yeah,
But I mean, there's a lot of people. There's a person who's kind of related to me through multiple, like through marriage and aunts and uncles and such. But the one daughter is in Korea for 3 months studying abroad because she got really into Korean culture through largely Japanese animation when she was a kid, that then turned
yeah,
into Korean, and then Korean
yeah.
dramas and all of that kind of stuff. Because one of
Hey,
the complaints about anime, for instance, is it's all violent. So I think Korea was one of the main countries that put out content that was still Korean style, Korean
yeah,
influence, but didn't
yeah,
have that violence, and
yeah.
focus more on drama and other romance and all that other kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Didn't have that. Well, that's I say that there are a couple things in Korean culture that are, you don't have overt displays of sex. You don't see it in films, and you don't see it in drama. I mean, very rarely do you see it. You watch these K dramas and these even
Yeah,
when there's so much love involved, like people you don't know people, you never see sex.
It's romance, and then I think in there's a drama that's on Netflix called Crashing Into You. I haven't finished it. I need
No,
to.
it's crash.
Crash Landing.
Crash
Oh,
landing. Yeah, crash landing on you. Yeah.
yeah. Um, very good show, and it's very romantic. The two main characters, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, are like falling in love the whole time. But even if I don't think that they've ever had like a depiction of them about to have sex or anything, maybe they've made like a
No,
joke
dude.
here or there. But like in America, you might even see like two people regularly on a show in bed
Yeah.
together because they're husband and wife, and they are just talking about having sex. Like that wasn't happening for
No, you don't
sure.
see it. No, you don't see it anywhere. I've watched so many dramas that you just don't see it. And then at one point, there was one I was watching not too long ago, and I said, "Wait, I think the couple I think they just had sex." Like, so it was like the next morning or something. I'm like, "Wait, what?" I think and so it's so crazy. It's so fascinating to see that. And one thing that I say is that people all over the world are really pretty traditional. Most people are very connected. Most cultures are quite traditional, and most cultures don't want overt displays of sexuality. And so people are going to really um, be fascinated, be drawn to things that they could sit down and watch with their kids. You can watch with the grandparents and the parents and the kids, and all of them could watch it, and nobody's going to get awkward at any point. And even you crash landing on you, that that's a really, if anyone's interested in a K-drama, that's like a really, really good one, because you get all the pieces that are so typical in these K-dramas. But even that one has violence in it, but the violence you don't see. It's all in flashbacks. And even then, it's like not, it's just sort of blurred out. Like it's not really super violent. And so it's very fascinating. And okay, Squid Game is pretty damn seriously violent. I mean, that's a different thing. But Squid Game is also it's a bizarre kind of violence, and it's rare. It's a really rare kind of thing. And it is, of course, the most successful Korean program or series that's ever been made. But nonetheless, it's also just really very strange. So it's pretty nice, actually, that you can watch these program, these shows, these dramas. Train to Busan, yeah, that was pretty epic. Yeah, and that's what's another one that was sort of bizarre in a
Yeah,
in a
zombie
weird
movie.
way. Yeah, but like, honestly, yeah, it's there are various ways in which they tweak it, but man, there's just so much, and we are consuming. Netflix has invested billions and billions of dollars into making these new dramas. So um, we're yeah. Yeah, I'm connected to a couple of the studios there, so I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of people about some of this stuff. So it's cool. Yeah, it's really, really cool.
I was editing through class 13, and I was putting in some fun facts because that was a class in which you had four volunteers. Two of them were very connected to their ancestry, two of them were not. And you had the Nigerian and Albanian.
Yeah.
And one of the fun facts about Nigeria that I saw was that they have their own Hollywood
Yeah.
that's
No,
super up and coming. And I
called
was like,
Nollywood with an N.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nollywood. And then Afrobeats is the genre of music that's extremely
Yeah.
popular, and that's becoming more globally mainstream. And I was like, I wonder if I could get an example of anybody, like any song. And I looked up like Afrobeat most popular song or something like that. And of course I knew it. Like it wasn't, it was like a song from maybe 3 years ago, but like I
Yeah.
had heard that song multiple times on the radio, like on YouTube stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. With the, we used to have back here in the local radio station in town, the public radio station, we had an Afrobeat show that somebody did back when I first moved into town. But yeah, I've been kind of really getting my roommate back in graduate school back in the mid 1980s was really into Afrobeat. So yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, you just really see this, and there's all this underground stuff. And one of the things it's similar to Nollywood, um, or Bollywood, right? The Indian version. But it's a lot of it's underground, and a lot of people are really into to Korean, all things Korean, but they do it kind of on their own. And one of the things that I was talking about in one of the talks that I gave is that, Koreans are really good at producing things that that you can consume, you can take in on your phone. And they're really good at like touch points, like just getting people to just keep tapping into the new content. And it's just it's mind-blowing that you can be anywhere in the world and be just consuming all of this content. You don't need lots of other people. You can do it by yourself, and there are all these communities online that you can connect with. So I have a lot of students who I'll talk to, and they're really into K-pop or K-drama or K-film or something, right? And just like but none of their friends are. It's just them on their own. And so that's always pretty fun for me to uh, yeah, to see that. So yeah, it's been a really wild ride, to kind of dig deeply into the culture like that. But they are really concerned about the tariffs, man. It's just it's quite problematic, and many people are concerned about the tariffs. And a lot of economists here in the U.S. are concerned about the tariffs, and this is quite problematic. But for Koreans in particular, because they are an export nation, and their exports are really, really critical for their economy. So, so this is a bit of an issue. But Koreans also have this way, as many people do, just sort of like, okay, well, we'll just get on with it. We will just deal with it because we have to deal with it. It's just like it's a very Confucian sort of way of responding, not getting really upset, not getting really thrown off, but just saying, okay, we'll deal with it. I had when I was there, I had a meeting with the former prime minister of Korea, one of the former prime ministers of Korea. And I asked him about this way, as prime minister, what does he see and what has he seen? Because we were talking about the tariffs, I was really digging into this. And he's just like, yeah, you just got to accept it. He's got to deal with it. And it's what it is. It's it's hard to say, like, what is that mentality? Like, what is that mindset? But you see it when you're in it. And it's really, really, really fascinating for me anyway. But the biggest thing that's really cool is just a certain genteelness. Koreans are really passionate, but also very, very respectful, really respectful. You pass things to someone. If this is Chinese things too, but you pass you give people your business cards like this. If I were going to hand you my phone, I would hand it with two hands. Everything is two hands. So you don't necessarily give it with two hands, but maybe your second hand could be here, or maybe on your chest even, or somewhere. But it's a very, very, very respectful culture. It's cool. I really like that. Some of the crazy stuff that we see, yeah, you don't see it. And there's about 10 murders a year, by the way. Yeah, 10 murders let me just say, in a country of 50,000, they have the number of murders each year that we have in a 12-hour period. Yeah. If we were the same size, if Korea was the size of the United States, or US was the size of Korea, however you want to balance it out, it doesn't matter. But if we multiplied Korea by 6 and we looked at what the murder rate is, and by weapons, right? The murder rate with weapons, that, they have the same number of murders in 12 hours that we have, or they have the same number of murders in a year that we have in 12 hours. And so that should say something about the society, man. And that's that, you hear that, you get that, right? So you take Korea, it's 51 million people. In the United States, we're 336 million at this point, maybe 340. I don't know. Maybe it's going to go down. Trump's deporting a lot of people, but that means you got to multiply the Korean population by 6. So you multiply all their statistics by 6 like that. So the number of murders they have in an entire year equals what we have in 12 hours. It's just, just different world. You can't hold that. And I was there, and we went to a coffee shop, and we just put our stuff down on a table, and I put my cell phone on the table just to kind of hold just show like, okay, we're going to sit there. And then we went around the corner, and we were ordering. And then I realized, I need my credit card to pay, and the credit card's in the back of my cell phone. So I found my cell phone and got my credit card and went back and paid, and never once thought about the fact that somebody might take my cell phone, because nobody would take my cell phone. That just was not going to happen. And that's been true in the Middle East and the Arab Muslim cultures of the Middle East as well. But it's just not going to happen. So that's kind of it's just really nice to be in a space like that, where I can put my phone in my back pocket. I'm not going to, there are a few pickpockets and so on the subways, but they're not Koreans, right? They're foreigners, and either East Asians, or there's foreigners, so it's so nice. It's so nice. It's just such a sweet space to be in, to not have to have these kinds of concerns. So the things that I struggle with, it's a very high pressure society. It's people are very demanding on themselves, very demanding on others. They put a lot of pressure on themselves and their kids to succeed. Success is really big. It's a country that was one of the poorest nations in the world when I was 5 years old, when I was a kid, and it's now one of the, our global powers. And it is one of the world's global powers. Like, no nation in the world's ever been able to do what Korea has done in the past 5 to 6 decades, right? It's just, it hasn't happened, and it probably, I'm sure, will never happen again in the same kind of way. But part of the result of that is, this Confucian emphasis on education and really working for the good of the whole, which is really big, and succeeding, but you succeed for yourself, you succeed for your family, but you also succeed for your country. And that's how Korea was able to sort of pull themselves out of poverty after the Korean War. But this pressure for success is so profound, man. And the pressure on kids, my God, these, after school training starts with kids in kindergarten and like 5, 6 years old, man. People are starting, like it's just not, you go to school and then you go to after school. And so, high schoolers are, you get out of school at 3:00, you get a quick snack and you go off to your after school. They're called hagwons, these training schools. And maybe you might be there till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, just night after night, because you got to score really well on the CSAT exam. It's called the CSAT, the Sunan exam. It's the college entrance exam. There's so much pressure, man, and it's quite troubling, and it has such a negative impact on so many young people, because if you don't get into one of the top schools, there's 3 top schools in Korea. Like we have our Ivy League, they have their version of Ivy League, but it's only 3 schools. And like that's the 3 schools where everybody wants to go. And well, not everybody. So a few people realize at a young age that they don't want that kind of stress and competition, so it doesn't matter to them. But the vast majority, if you can get into one of those schools, you get into one. That's not really necessarily true here. But so many kids, they don't know anything about the Ivy Leagues. Like you don't hear, you wouldn't know. Like, oh, should I go? You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even try to apply to an Ivy. It's everybody in Korea, every kid, every corner of the nation knows of the 3 top universities in Korea, and everyone knows that they should want to go there. That's just part of the reality. And they can't believe that there are so many people, kids in the United States, who wouldn't even give a second thought about going to an Ivy League school. And all over the country, just like, yeah, whatever. No, I want to go to Penn State. I was doing an interview for this television station, and I was saying that kids all over the country, man, you come to Penn State, for example, because we have a great football program, and you just want to be part of this, the whole experience of being here at Penn State with football and culture and this and that. And it's like you wouldn't even think to apply to an Ivy, even if you could reasonably get in, you would still want to come to Penn State. And Koreans can't even imagine that would be true, so that's kind of that's did most Korean youth yeah, Axel, it's a huge problem in Korea. I just was talking to someone the other day, like 70% of young kids, people in their 20s have, is it myopia? What is it when you're nearsighted or farsighted? Nearsighted from from reading too much, from studying too much. Just first off, screens. When you're not studying, you're on your screen. People are doing what kids do, but otherwise they're reading and they're studying. So it's so many eye issues. But yeah, lots of people, wearing contacts and so on, but that's a huge issue. Yeah, it's really fascinating. Yeah, it's a lot. Okay. Anyway, did I respond? Any idea what the per capita number of fatherless families is compared to the U.S.? Yeah, it's not very high, and it's not very high because you don't have children out of wedlock. You don't do that. It's so interesting you asked that question, because I just had I was at a lunch with some people, and that was an issue that came up, and we were talking about those numbers, and I was talking about how it is here in the U.S. with certain groups of people in particular. Like I think with Black women, something like, not just children, something like 60% of, it's a very high number, 60% of Black children being born today are born outside of a marriage, official marriage. A lot of people are partnered up, but they're not married. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, my answer to you is it's not common, really, because it's really looked down upon, which is a big problem, because marriage rates are declining. Because marriage rates are declining everywhere in the world, because people are more educated and they see more opportunities, and they want to go experience the world, man. We all do. Not we all do, but people do, and young people, and they want to go try things out, and they want to switch their careers, and people don't want to settle down and in a marriage and have children. And so this is a huge problem in Korea, because they have one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Well, they actually have the lowest birth rate in the world of any modern OECD country. Actually, of any country, I think Korea has the lowest birth rate. It's like 0.72 or something. And the reproduction rate is 2.1, meaning every woman who can have a child needs to have 2.1 children in order for the population to stabilize and reproduce itself. So So you got to have two. You have to have a boy and you have to have a girl, and you have to have it's 2.1 because some people don't survive into to the age when they themselves, some women, girls don't, where they themselves can have children. So um, anyway, so Koreans at 0.72 or 0.73. So imagine that, like Korea, and in another 2 or 3 generations, the country wouldn't even exist at that rate. So for all practical purposes, so this is a real issue, and with the stigma against having children outside of marriage, so young women wouldn't go. It just would not be a thing to go to a sperm bank, let's say, and or have a sperm donor or something and just have a child on your own. You can't. Which is, the thing is, you got to sort of have to, given the birth rate, it's a thing to really think about whether they need to try to change those mores. This was part of the conversation we were having with some people who are kind of involved in thinking about these things. So, yeah, it's really, really, yeah. Yeah. So Kenny, hang on. Oh, go ahead. Put that up. How long it took? With so many large changes, how long does it take to really start to feel the effects currently driving and looking at the string? It's like nothing's changed. Yeah. I think that, well, I think things take a long time, really, to change in pretty significant ways. You don't notice it. We were talking this at the beginning of class yesterday. I was really pushing students, like whether they fasten their seatbelts, because buckle up, man, because things are going to start to get really crazy. They've already started to get crazy, but they're going to start to get even more crazy. But you don't notice. That's one of the problems, that we don't notice a lot of stuff. And sometimes you don't notice until it's like really upon us. And so this is a problem with the Korean birth rate, of course, fertility rate, is that, there are two things. The problem with the commons, that, everyone is acting on their own individual interests or desires. But if everybody does that, the collective interests can really get skewed and really get screwed up. So that's one thing that goes on. And the second one is that you're not really going to notice until it's too late. And so, Korea is, just to stay with Korea for a hot minute, it's, 95% of people living in Korea have Korean ancestors. So there are very few foreigners who are there. And you have foreign workers, like agricultural workers, that are coming from East Europe and from other parts of East Asia, China, but like, Uzbekistan and Romania and places like that. But 95% of Koreans are Koreans, man. It's like it's a place you go and you are really surrounded by Koreans, and there's not lots of culture from the outside. You are in Korean culture, and when Koreans, spread their culture around the world, it is Korean culture, man. You're not getting, these dramas. Very few of them are subtitled. I mean, are overdubbed. They're subtitled, and you're going to have to read the subtitles if you want to watch them. And you're going to hear the Korean language, and you don't see actors who are not Korean in these dramas. Even after so much time, and Netflix invests so much money, but they invest the money because what people want is Korean culture. They don't want a changed culture. So. What religion is Korean? Confucian and Buddhist, but the greatest number of people in Korea are Christian. So Christian and then non-religious, but most of the non-religious their families are Confucian or Buddhist. But the largest religion in Korea is Christian. And Christianity has spread just in the past 120 years. I mean, really has spread so fast. And Koreans are really serious Christians, man. Like if you want like Korean Christians can be really serious Christians. So if you're a serious Christian, Korea is your place to be. And it's such a communitarian or collectivist society that, you know, there's a lot of churches display what sociologists would call cult-like behavior. But I only say that because it's very communitarian, you know, like Koreans have, you know, you're very aware all the time of what people around you are doing. And so, and people act in accordance to what others around them are doing. Like you're just constantly thinking about, you know, how other people are going to perceive what you're doing, how you're walking, how you're standing, how you're dressing, how you're talking. It's one thing after another. You're just constantly feeling the sense of being analyzed or judged, but judged, you know, with a small j, by people around you, and you want to fit in. You just want to be part of the world around you, and it matters. It's part of the community. It's part of being Korean. And because, remember, it's so Korean, right? The Korean culture is so 95% of the people around you have their roots in that very small peninsula. So it's not like the United States. We are a multicultural land, and we've been a multicultural land, multinational, multi-ethnic, multicultural. We're just people here from all over the world. When you go in Seoul, there's a couple different areas, neighborhoods of Seoul, where lots of foreigners will go. There's one called Itaewon, and another called Hongdae, and Gangnam, also Gangnam, but because people will kind of go there. But Itaewon and Hongdae are the ones where there are a lot of hotels and hostels and stuff, and you know, you'll see a lot of foreigners, but. Man, it's Korea, man. It's not like Paris and London and Miami and LA and New York and that sort of thing. And you know, Frankfurt or where you know, wherever. It's just not like that. Rome. It's as you are in Korea. And so therefore, you know, you're being judged by other Koreans. It's not about what the rest of the world thinks. So I think it's pretty intense. Yeah, pretty intense. All right. Have you ever been to Japan? Yeah, I have been to Japan, but just one time. And Japan was the first Asian country I went to, and actually it blew me away. It probably opened me to the world of culture more than any other trip that I'd ever taken, because I just felt the deep difference in human beings that, like, not about culture, just a different a comportment. I use this word comportment, just a way of beingness in the world that I had never felt anywhere before that time. And so, Japan and Korea are very, very similar in that way. Yeah, very similar. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jessica K, can you put that comment up? I want to see that. Beautiful country. No, not that one. The other one about. Yeah. Why try to change cultures rather than encourage the antiquated attitude toward women to get with the times and. Yeah. Well, so there are two things, right? There are a lot of there's a lot. One of the questions right now that's really up that is that, you know, there's a lot of sexism in Korea, like traditional Korean culture. You definitely in traditional Korean culture, it's changing now, and definitely among young people. But some of it, you know, people will still identify sexism among younger people, but I'm like, dude, they identify it as a unique Korean kind of sexism, and I'm like, dude, that's not uniquely Korean. That's just part of the stuff that we see everywhere. So the question becomes, what about dealing with the antiquated sexism, right? And I am just not. So a lot of I have had a lot of conversations with people about whether this is one of the reasons where women are not having children, because women are getting much more highly educated now, like it's like everywhere in the world, like, at Penn State, 60% of the new entrants at Penn State are women, or 55% of of our grads. It's more than half for sure. And in Korea, it's not quite that, but it's getting up to that. It's about 40% of women students in the university are women. And so, so the idea is that a lot of women are not able to meet their match with men who are willing to be in non-traditional relationships, meaning who are willing to be in egalitarian or equal relationships, and partner with women on an equal basis, opposed to this more antiquated traditional roles where men have a majority of the power and women really don't, which is just that's the traditional sort of thing. And so one of the reasons the birth rate is so low is because women are just not willing to put up with bullshit from men. I don't really think I don't see that. I don't come to that conclusion at all. And I think the biggest reason is because women are just like men, and they just want to really experience their lives, and they're not wanting to settle down and have kids. And young men don't want to settle down and have kids. They want to experience it. Something like 70% of young Koreans I read this, have YouTube channels. You are doing something on YouTube, broadcasting in some kind of way. And I'm like, whoa, what? It just doesn't even seem possible that it's so high, that people are just doing stuff, man. So anyway, the idea is people don't want to settle down with partners, but there are quite a number of women who nonetheless want to have children, but they don't want children and marriage. Like, they don't want it both. That's so, Jessica, that's kind of what we were talking about. Yeah, they don't want it both. So it's kind of interesting in that way. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of conversations happening. Yeah, baseball is a huge thing in both Japan and Korea, man. And now with the great baseball star on the Dodgers, it's even bigger in Japan, man. But it's huge in Korea. My God, if you go, let me see if I can find some pictures of a baseball game that I went to back in just I have a video here I could play. Shoot, hang on, I'm gonna have to find this. I'm not sure I'll be able to. Here, I'll show you. I'll show you a photo. Here's a cool photo. This is a photo. Some of you know this guy right here. That's Psy from Gangnam Style. So we took a photo with him. Hang on, I gotta try this. This was hang on. Here. This is the library. This really famous library where I spoke last week, and this is these books. Then these aren't real books that are all up high, but just all over the place. And wait, hang on, I gotta. Here, this is kind of interesting. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. So this is the Jeju Air. This is the airplane crash that happened back in December. And, these are the CEO and executives, and here they are bowing, and they're holding that bow for a long time, just asking for a deep apology, but like, why are they bowing? When are their airplanes crashed? Like what is? But the point is, they're just taking this sense of responsibility. And think about the crash that happened over the Potomac, with the helicopter and the plane, and within hours, our president, it was claiming that it was because of DEI that happened, and there's no bowing at all. And here, there's nothing at all. The airline isn't. They're no bowing. This is a major public apology, and that's something about the Korean way, that I think matters. This is, by the way, a monk who's a fan of Social 19. Man, she watches videos. She's the head monk, the abbess at this temple, and she was really surprised to see me at the temple. I went for an event. Hang on, let me just. That's the former prime minister. This is taken in Paris. I spoke at a conference, at this conference here. This was for the World Expo 2030, trying to bring the World Expo 2030 to Korea, in Busan, but in the end it went to Saudi Arabia. But I went and I spoke to all of the delegates, the people, all the countries. This was in Paris, so and my job was to convince all of them to. Oh, hang on, I can't get back. What happened? Anyway, my job was to convince them all to vote for Korea, but the Saudis have more money to spend, and so yeah, Jessica, yeah, it's pretty. I'm gonna say, yeah, it's cool. It's a really interesting place. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh my gosh. All right. So anyway, a lot of stuff. What else do we have? Is that it? Between Africa, which is underdeveloped, having the highest birth rate compared to developed countries having the lowest birth rate. Yeah, I think it's interesting that the highest rates in the world are in sub-Saharan Africa. Even China and India, the rates are going down, and in sub-Saharan Africa they're not. But like when I think about the future, it is really interesting. Africa, you don't know what's going to happen in the next 100 years. I mean, the African continent is a continent whose opportunities are still awaiting, man. Like we just don't. That life, the life cycle. History is very long and very complicated, and so the age, we early on was the age of Africans, but I have a feeling it will circle back to that in some way. So yeah, we don't know. Yeah, but anyways, the highest birth rates are in sub-Saharan Africa, which is still at like four to 5, and like certainly 3.5 to 5. That means that for every woman who is capable of giving birth, will have 3.5 to 5 children on average. It's like, whoa, man. Yeah, but everything is shrinking everywhere. Yeah. It's crazy, man. So it's so fascinating to, you have to see history as long and complicated. The Europe history, European history is a history of so much war and violence. It's which in an odd way moved things forward, but also who knows how it held things back. So we'll see. David, you're welcome. I appreciate it. I don't talk much about my experiences. strangely. I think I just don't. Um, this is something though. I'm I'm going to share one more thing that's actually kind of interesting. Here. So this will pop up on the screen in a second. Okay, so here. So this is the former prime minister. He's the one who took over when the current president, Yoon, was booted out of office about 6 weeks ago. He then took over. He stepped in, but then the Democratic Party in Korea, knocked him out. But anyway, so I took a selfie. We were having dinner together in Korea, or in Paris, because I was there again for this conference. But anyway, when I was having dinner with him, this is what he and I were looking at. I was taking the selfie, but this is what he and I were looking at. And this is the Korean media. It was like, just like, photographing that whole scene, man. Yeah. So I don't share very much of this. It's like a whole world for me that I'm not really very comfortable sharing. So
one of the other pictures I saw, you shared this with me, that there was some like break in time in which you didn't have to be somewhere. So wherever you were at, they were like, hey, just stay in this like little private room area, hang out, listen to music, do whatever, and we'll have a car come pick you up and take you to the event that you're going to.
Yeah.
And one of the girls who was working in the building knew who you were, and so then you guys end up getting a big picture with all of you guys together. And they were very like timid to come and ask you to get a picture, but yeah.
Yeah, here, I'll show that photo. Yeah, it's that photo right there. So I asked them. They were all working at this little, I'll call it a restaurant lounge, and I say, hey, can you? The woman right here. I don't know if you can see yeah, you can see it.
Yes.
This woman right here. She's a big fan, but she was really shy. Says, no, this one right here. She didn't want to ask for a photo, but but I asked them, I say, hey, let's do a pose. Put me in a pose. And so that's the pose that they created for me. Yeah, that was kind of fun. Yeah, they all watched the class. I mean, they watch Social 19, man. They don't watch Social 19. They watch videos, because what happens is Korean YouTubers, they take the class and they subtitle it in Korean and they send it out around Korea, and then people watch. There are YouTube channels over there, Jeff, that I just found this out last time. There's one channel for sure that the only content is Social 19. That's it, man. And they just take videos and they subtitle them, and they have their own channel. And I'm like, there's nothing we can do about it. They get it immediate as soon as we put stuff up, they grab it. And like,
that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Work with us.
I know, man. I know. Yeah, there's so much, and so much. Yeah, Arirang, Axel. Yeah, Arirang is it's a cool channel. Lori and I we've been on Arirang quite a number of times, and Suman, who's my was to help with the book. She works at Arirang. So that's the English speaking channel in Korea. So yeah, every nations have them. So yeah, subtitle it in German. I know. Well, there must be stuff out there. Jeff and I have tried. Earlier when we started over the summertime and the beginning of the fall, we really, really wanted to just hit subtitles, but it just takes a lot, man. It takes a lot to do that.
This semester we do have one dedicated person. So for every class, every office hours, every highlight video, there are English subtitles. They're not perfect, but the classes are. They're as close to perfect as we can get it, because we have a dedicated person who, her whole thing is she like she checks the subtitles, makes corrections, does all of that kind of stuff. But then we have to have another team for each language that can then translate it. And especially if we want to do it consistently, because if we just want to do like one video, like Axel or anybody who speaks another language, if you know of like, hey, this video we should have other languages for and
Yeah.
subtitles, we can get that for you and you can help us with that. But like if we wanted to do German or Korean or Spanish or anything, then we just need a dedicated team of people who, when the classes are done, they're helping get the captions completed as quickly as possible. But
Yeah.
again, it takes upwards of like a day or two to get the English completely done, and then then we have to wait another day or two at the least for each translation. So it's just at the moment it isn't something we can do, but it is something that we would love to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna show. Yeah, we'd really love to have it. Actually, I'm gonna show a couple of videos. I found this. Oh no, from the baseball game. I don't know if I can share audio. Yeah, I can share audio. All right, hang on. Okay, this is like some of the crazy baseball stuff. Uh, Hang on. Here we go. This is the beginning of the game.
We can't hear the audio, but
Hang on.
we can see the video.
Oh wait, you can't hear the audio? Oh,
No.
come on, man. I set it up so you could hear the audio. Hang on. Oh yeah. Oh man, how can we? Let me try it again. How can we not? Audio also share tab audio. Yeah.
It might only allow you to do like Chrome tabs or something. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I think so. Man, that's too bad. Okay, well, whatever. Such is life. Yeah, it's very
The dude looked like he was selling Cracker
baseball's
Jacks.
crazy. Nah, it's that they know he was selling beer in that. It's like a big thing. He's got a tube of it, and he just puts the tube in your cup and pours beer. But it's just like the cheers, man. It's just crazy.
How much to skip the cup?
How much what?
To skip the cup. Just put it right into my mouth.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I know it's great. It's beer and chicken, man. That's such a thing at these. Yeah, that was Jamsil Stadium. Yeah, GDC, you got it. And yeah,
That's
wild.
Gerald from class.
Oh yeah, Gerald. That's cool. Yeah, Jamsil. Yeah, and that's cool. Yeah, yeah. It's really wild. What a crazy thing, man. All right, listen. I think I really tried to stream when I was there, but we did 3 different talks. There was another talk I was gonna do, the other library talk, but I just couldn't make it happen. It was just it was happening so fast. So we streamed the one, but the other one I just couldn't pull it off. Yeah, it was a bookstore talk actually. But I really tried to stream more, and it's so hard, because people are things are just happening so fast, and I don't know. It's just like to sit on my phone and just try to talk. It's hard. So I don't.
Yeah, man.
I,
That's why we keep telling you to take one of us with you.
I know. Even then, like it's so difficult.
For those of you who want to see the streams that Sam did while he was in Korea, I relabeled them to be office hours. So just if you want to go to the playlist, you can find them there as well. But 13 is the first one, and actually Sam meets opinionated Matt at that event, and
Yeah.
the
There he is, right
pictures.
there.
Yeah, there he is. And so they talk for a little bit. It's sideways for about the first 20 minutes, but then the last hour, for their actual speech is is normal. And then there's a second speech, which was a much smaller group. It was just Sam, Lori, chatting, or really Lori interviewing Sam about the book. And then the third one right here is Lori talking about collaboration, conflict, and how do we work together. And all of them have timestamps, and all of them are captioned. Well, actually, not all of them are captioned because YouTube's giving me some issues. Like the first stream is being picked up in as the official language of the video is in Korean, so I can't post English subtitles without the times, and I can't put the times without uploading the video. So like, it's a
Wait,
little
is
bit.
that is that how the whole thing looked from a distance like that? We didn't get it any. It didn't get more close up.
Yeah, it was mostly back like that.
Yeah. Okay. I tried to work that out. All right. Hmm. Oh, and that's the other one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then
Oh, this is the one that Matt did. Yeah, Matt was over there trying to. He was pulling the whole thing off. Man, it
oh
was
yeah.
cool. It was cool to see him. Yeah, it was really nice. It's cool to run into people.
So yeah, Opinionated Matt will not be joining us on the stream because it's the middle of the night.
And he's busy learning Korean. Yeah, so it was cool. I was able to introduce him to a bunch of people, to to get him connected to other folks so he can practice his Korean and really figure it out. So, yeah. So that's awesome. Well,
First
listen.
message he sent after he got the, well, actually I messaged him randomly one day last week or maybe a week and a half ago, and I was like, hey, when is your flight? And he was like, I just landed. I was like,
That's
oh my
cool.
god, perfect timing. And then the next night or something was when he met you, and then he sent me pictures, and then the only message, the text that he sent was, I'll see you in May, question mark. Like, yeah, man, let's see.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It was good to see him. Then afterwards, we went out and had a beer, and yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's
Spoken
nice.
Italian.
Yeah, it was cool because we were. He was with a lot of Koreans, and they were learning. He was teaching them some Italian, and he was really digging into the Korean. So, yeah, it's really nice. I'm trying to figure it out too, but it's hard, man. It's a really, really tough language. The pronunciation is tough. I say things and I think I'm pronouncing it exactly correct, and people have no idea what I'm saying. And I'm like, oh my God. And then they'll say, oh, you mean, and they'll say it back. And that's just what I said. This is exactly how I pronounced it, but it's not. And it's very complicated. Yeah. So, all right, listen, let's bounce. I just wanted to do a quick stream, and I think on Tuesday, yeah, we'll see what happens on Tuesday. Ian, I'll be in touch with you. By the way, I'm going to respond. Right now, I'm going to think that through what I'm going to do on Tuesday, but I think it'll be a good class, and then we'll do office hours on Wednesday. So.
Sweet.
All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there, and it's nice. It's just nice to pop on a Friday. So we will see what happens. Have a great weekend, and yeah, Heathrow's open again, Steven. Wow, that's mind blowing, man. Yeah. All right. Okay, everyone. Thanks. We'll talk.